To catch any of Tony Perkins' show last night, who the host, of course, Washington Watch, heard an hour daily. He was at the bottom of the stairs, and a lot of you were able to just sit in and watch that or as you pass by. And a guest he would love to have would be the great one, Mark Levin. Yeah. Unfortunately, Mark is busy during Tony's show. He's got something else he's doing. Oh, yeah, his own show. And as all of us know, he has become one of America's preeminent conservative commentators and constitutional lawyers. He's in great demand as a political and legal commentator and has appeared on hundreds of television and radio programs. His own radio show on WABC in New York City skyrocketed to #1 to the AM dial in just its first 18 months. He's a contributing editor to National Review Online, writes frequently for other publications. But he's also the best-selling author of Men in Black, about the Supreme Court, Liberty and Tyranny, a conservative manifesto, which is a must-read for every values voter. Joining him on stage, right over here to my left, is going to be Tony Perkins, again, a national broadcaster in his own right, with his daily show, Washington Watch. So they're just going to have a lively banter between them. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Tony Perkins and Mark Levin.
The stars and stripes and the eagle fly. There's a lady that stands in a harbor for what we believe.
Welcome back to the Values Voter Summit. My guest here, Mark Levin. Mark, welcome back.
How are you, Oprah? One of these Oprah settings here. By the way, why do you have 2 stickers?
Well, we're voting this morning, and I'm a Democrat, so I voted twice.
And don't forget to vote. That's very, very important.
Just kidding. I just voted once.
There you go.
I'm not a Democrat.
Well, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to see all you folks here. And whenever you ask me, I clear the schedule to be here because it's good to be with real, patriotic, faithful Americans like you.
Well, Mark, there's a reason Sean Hannity calls you the Great One. You are.
Liberals call me the Great Big One. So.
Well, it's interesting that there is this conflict between the left and right, and it's not over ideology so much so as that they don't even want to hear your ideology. They don't want you to have the right to speak. I mean, you've seen the attack they've done on Rush just recently, trying to go after his advertisers. They can't defend their position, so they simply want to shut down folks like you.
The left, let's be blunt, the left has a totalitarian mindset. It really does when you think about it. It's their way or the highway. The whole idea of a centralized government with concentrated power is to impose their will on everybody else. They're not going to win the battle of ideas because their ideas are goofy. They're stupid. They are time-worn and they're losers. Our principles are the founding principles. It's really quite simple. And what we try to do is project the founding principles onto modern day events and so forth. What do? They're regressive. They try to import every form of tyranny you can think of from Europe and other parts of the world, package it as compassionate, and then, talk about race and genitalia and all these other things that seem to get them all worked up. Hey, it's the truth. I could do more, but I'm not.
That's right. This is G Radio.
Yeah.
All right. I'm starting to feel a little sorry for you.
Yes.
Because I know this week was a huge disappointment for you when you heard that the Attorney General was resigning.
5 years too late.
Well, you're going to lose a lot of material.
With this administration, there's tons of material. I say the more they resign, we may gain a country. That would be nicer. But Eric Holder has single-handedly destroyed the Department of Injustice, as I call it. He has loaded up the Uncivil Rights Division with all kinds of leftists and malcontents and miscreants. And they get civil service status, which means the next Republican, hopefully conservative Republican administration that comes in will have a very difficult time because it's very difficult to remove these people. So what this administration is doing is it's trying to make permanent its 8-year term. And this is what the left always does. And Franklin Roosevelt talked about this. He said, look, we can't win every election, but when we win these elections, we have to make as permanent as we can our agenda. So they, what I call, constitutionalize it. So the left-wing agenda becomes the interpretation of the Constitution. That's why we are originalists. That's why we look at the framers. That's why precedent means less to us than what the founders meant. So Eric Holder will go, but there's a million of them behind him ready to spring into action. But good riddance.
Yeah, we were tempted to turn this week into a going-away party, but we didn't.
Nobody showed up.
Let me ask you this, though, about the timing of this announcement. What's significant, do you think, about the timing going into this election of him announcing his resignation?
The reason they timed it this way is so they are poised to operate depending on the way the election turns out. So if the Democrats hold the Senate, then they'll do their thing, which they usually do. If the Republicans take the Senate, then they're going to move quickly, likely, in a session where the Democrats hold the Senate till the first week in January. Now remember, Harry Reid killed the filibuster rule for everything below Supreme Court. So they've packed the courts with leftist ideologues and radicals and academics and so forth. And so what they would do, and I don't put it past them, is ram through his replacement so he can go retire and, like a good Marxist, make about $10 million a year, whatever he wants to do. But that's what I fear the big plan is, because it would take a simple majority of the Democrats, including Democrats who were defeated, to confirm the next Attorney General. And remember, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, at least till the first week in January, is that radical Patrick Leahy. So they will, in my view, if the Republicans take the Senate, they will move quickly. I hope I'm wrong, but I doubt it.
Is there anything the Republicans can do to derail that, if that is the case?
These Republicans? No. What have they done so far? Anybody know? Except whine to us that they need more of them. I say we need more conservatives who happen to be Republicans, not just Republicans.
Look, I want you to know that you're among friends. You can actually be candid here. You can tell us what you think. Let's talk about that. I'm going to transition to the election because we've heard a lot of reports about a enthusiasm deficit, a deficit of enthusiasm in a number of these key Senate races across the country. Is there a correlation between the weak stands that many Republicans have had and the weak support that they're getting out there across America?
I think a lot of Republicans, conservative Republicans, are torn. They despise what the Democrats have become and doing to this country. It is a totalitarian party. That's the way they operate, whether it's amnesty, whether it's the courts, whether it's the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, 10th Amendments, whether it's the Commerce Clause, whether it's the Appointments Clause. They are beating the heck out of the Constitution of the United States. And in many respects, I feel we live in a post-constitutional period. Then we look at the Republicans. This is the Gerald Ford, Nelson Rockefeller Republican Party. They will not stand up to this tyranny. They can barely speak in complete sentences, the leadership, when they decide to speak. They don't speak about principles. They talk about how bad Obama is. We know that. But we want to know what they're going to do to restore the Republic and save the Constitution. Now, that said, I think if the Republicans win, and win big, it's anti-Obama. Mm-hmm. If the Republicans lose, it's because the Republicans are disgusted with the bureaucrats and the so-called leadership in the Republican Party. That's right. Now, that said, if the Republicans lose, they'll blame us, and if they win, they'll pat themselves on the back. This is a party that's in trouble, whatever happens in the next election, and we conservatives, like Buckley, like Reagan, we need to take this party back. We need to take, I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
And who are we
Let me
taking
take
it back
notes.
from? We're taking it back from cowards. Yes. We're taking it back from corporatists. And I'm a free market capitalist. I'm talking about crony capitalists that use government and government policies to defeat their competition and to take money from we the people, the taxpayers. These people are not conservative Republicans. They are neo-statist, big government Republicans. They are not me.
Is this a process? I mean, is this going to be a wave like we saw, and I'm not saying this election, but what needs to happen within the party? Is it going to be a wave like something like 2010? Or is this a process where we remove the Democrats and build on victories from the Republicans? Or if the Republicans win, is it business as usual?
I don't know, but I know this. We damn well better nominate a conservative in 2016 to save this country and save the Republican Party. We don't have a lot of time left. They may well nominate Hillary Clinton, who is Barack Obama in a, I was going to say a skirt, but pantsuit, really. That's right. It's for you reporters out there. Anyway, hey, look, I'm just observing. So,
what else have you seen?
But it's very, it's very, very important that we nominate a conservative for the first time since Ronald Reagan. There are people under 50 years old who've never had an opportunity to vote for a conservative president. We want to show them what it's like. That's our generation's responsibility. It's invigorating. It's energizing. It's almost spiritual to get behind somebody with enthusiasm and excitement and to go door to door. That's how you win elections, Democrats, independents, and landslides.
When you say a real conservative, you're talking about a Reagan-type conservative who understood that we need a strong national defense, we need to protect the free markets for the economy and economic growth, but also that we have a moral foundation which has to be protected: life, marriage, the family. The culture matters.
The culture is the key. Now, the way Reagan and I and others have put it is, there really aren't three legs. They're all one leg. Conservatism is about a way of life, a way of living. It's about the civil society. Faith is at the core of it. Individuality is at the core of it. Respect for the rule of law is at the core of it. Liberty is at the core of it. A just and stable law like the Constitution is at the core of it. You can't chop up conservatism, in my view, into these 3, 4, 5 different legs. Conservatism is everything you say. Not a piece of it, not one of it, but people come in and they try and break us into pieces. We're not pieces. We are people of faith. Doesn't mean we compel people to comply with our faith, but we are people of faith. We believe in free market capitalism and private property rights, and we believe in individual liberty, individual sovereignty, and a constitutional system. That's conservatism.
I want to talk about the faith component of that for just a moment, because we're seeing an increasingly a rise of persecution of Christians in particular globally. In fact, tomorrow night we will recognize Maryam Ibrahim, the Sudanese Christian mother who was sentenced to die for her faith. But there appears to be a correlation between the rising intolerance toward living out the faith, whether it be primarily Christian faith in this country. What do you see on that front? Is this an anomaly, or is this really happening?
First of all, I want to make a statement as a Jew, and I told you this before. My life's experience is that evangelical Christians and faithful Catholics are the most tolerant people, period. They're the most tolerant people that I deal with. Folks don't try to impose their will on anybody else. They try to spread the word. I think what we really need in this country, and you're right, I mean, Obamacare is an attack on religious liberty, all liberty, but specifically religious liberty, and it comes out of the bowels of the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. that issues regulations, faceless, nameless bureaucrats rewriting the First Amendment to the Constitution. But I would also say, I think Eric Holder said that we're a nation of cowards because we don't talk about race. We never stop talking about race. He's the coward because he won't talk about Islam.
That's right.
And I want to be clear what I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm not addressing law-abiding Muslims, of which there are 1 billion or so. What I'm addressing, though, is that we are sending young men and women off to war to fight fundamental Islam. That's what they're fighting. That's who they're fighting. And it's about damn time the President of the United States said it and stopped making apologies about it. Hold on. That's number one. Number two, how about a speech in defense of Christians around the world from the President of the United States?
I'll stand up for that one.
How about a speech from the President of the United States in defense of Israel for once? How about a speech from the President of the United States in defense of women who are really being raped, attacked, and enslaved?
Can I sit down now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Please be seated. Good man. By the way, did you vote yet?
I voted.
All right, just want to
Remember,
make
I'm a Democrat. I voted twice.
sure. Okay. You have a photo ID?
No, I had.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to ask.
Let's talk about the president's speech. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but the president's speech this week before the United Nations General Assembly, you talk about the issue of Islam. The president continues to say Islam is a religion of peace. How can we fight an enemy? I mean, I know we had another case of workplace violence in Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this transcends not only our international foreign policy, but our domestic policy, where we are at risk here at home, and we cannot come to the point where we can truly speak the truth because political correctness has basically blinded us to that truth.
Well, we need to reject political correctness. We need to reject the attempt by the left to keep us in little boxes or to move us out to extremes. We are the heart of America. Our belief system is the heart of America. We are the majority of America, and they treat us like we're some minor cult. We are not some minor cult. I don't need to be lectured by Barack Obama about any damn thing, let alone religion or Islam. That's number one. I'll watch myself.
That's right. I got a button. I've been beeping it all the time. Right?
There's 7 words I wrote down that, as a matter of law, I'm not allowed to say on the air, which I'd never say anyway. But all the rest, I'm happy to use, you know. But anyway, and in English, I might add. I think we need to fight this effort to silence us. This PC stuff. They're trying to use the law in ways that harass us, whether it's the IRS, whether it's the attack on the lady in Texas and so forth and so on. We need to speak out. We need to stand up. You people are already doing. We need our neighbors and our friends and so forth to do the same. They treat us like we're this fringe. You know, I view the political spectrum quite differently. We're in the middle. You've got the radical leftists who've taken over the Democrat Party. Then you have sort of this neo-Confederate group out there that really doesn't believe in the Constitution and keeps talking about secession and so forth. We are traditional conservatives who embrace the Constitution, who embrace our heritage, and we need to continue to stand up. This president does not, from his values, from his comments, from his attacks on my country, does not represent me, period.
we are coming into an election. We're moving into the 2016 election cycle. I think you've pointed out very clearly our nation is at, every election is important. I mean, we know that because it determines a future course. But as you pointed out, time is running out for this country. Some things have been done in the last 6 years that, if not reversed quickly, may seal our fate as a nation. What would you say to the value voters out there, not just here today, but those watching across the country, what we need to be doing in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months?
Well, from an election perspective, what keeps happening is that the Republican establishment picks off the conservatives. And so you have all these primaries, and you got 28 people up on the stage, and it may happen again, and they're focused on 2 or 3, and we're all split up among 20. I think early on, I don't mean before the primaries, we need to be focusing on the most articulate, intelligent, charismatic, conservative candidate that we can get behind. And once it becomes relatively clear that there are some who we love who aren't going to make it, we need to start to rally behind those 1 or 2. Because I can't stand another election where I turn on the TV and you know where, and I'm told the only one who can win is McCain and the only one who can win is Romney. I've had a stomach full of that stuff. There is really, if you think about it, Obama was eminently defeatable in 2008, and even more defeatable in 2012. I've had it with an incompetent Republican bureaucracy and all their consultants.
It's fascinating to me how quickly the consultants rewrite history. In that, coming out of 2012, and now what we're hearing is that the reason the Republicans did not win is because we had a candidate who was too conservative and too focused on social issues, and we've got to get that behind us. And I'm thinking, did I fall asleep during that cycle? That's not what I heard.
No, and they're propagandists. At their worst, they don't even accept what they've done. They don't take credit for their defeats, Here's the thing. We're in our third... All right, you ready? I'm going to tell you. 2006, we lost the House and the Senate. Who was the architect? We lost the House and the Senate. The last 6 elections, 5 times presidency, we've lost the popular vote. Were we in charge? No. Okay. We've had several election cycles in the Senate. They keep bringing up the 2 or 3 candidates that they want to keep beating on. Last time I checked, there were 100 seats up in 3 election cycles. Right. It's not 2 or 3 candidates. Their candidates keep losing in places like North Dakota and Montana and Hawaii. And even now, if they win a landslide, they are scared to death they may not. They say, we need money. Their candidates are not appealing. Their candidates don't stand for anything. And when they do stand for something, they're moving left. They're not moving right. The American people are ready for leaders. They want emphatic, unequivocal statements about Americanism and American principle. Whether it's at home, that we're going to secure our borders, that we're going to get our economy running again by unleashing the private sector, unleashing the government, or that we're going to address World War III, and that's what it is, with World War II tactics. At least that's my opinion.
And the only way that will happen is if the value voters across this country engage to a level they've never engaged before.
Absolutely crucial. It's now or never. You got to rise up. It's not enough just to vote. You got to get 10, 20 people to vote. There's no question about that. I've also written a book and talked about the Convention of the States. I'm not going to do it here, but there are other things we have to do and we must do to get our country back. I firmly believe we live in a post-constitutional period and it's getting worse. Right. And I also firmly believe that we're reaching the point where the precipice has been met, so that there's certain things that you would think we could do that we can't do. I'll give you a quick example. So much of what the government does is unaffected by the ballot box because they've created this massive 4th branch of government, like the religious liberty issue comes out of the bowels of the bureaucracy of HHS. The EPA is shutting down businesses. It's destroying hard assembly line work, men and women who go to work every day with a lunch pail and so forth, putting them out of work. Look at the lurching and the transition, massive food stamps, massive disability, massive growth of the welfare state. Even new immigrants to this country are encouraged to get on the gravy train. It's all in the wrong direction. It all helps this totalitarian mindset that is the Democrat Party. We have our work cut out for us, but there will be a point at which there's very little we can do, and we're getting there quickly. This election is crucial. The presidential election is even more crucial in 2016. I humbly believe we cannot nominate another rhino, or we're going to get our clocks cleaned again.
Well, speaking of the clock, we're out of time, Mark Levin. Mark Levin, you're a great American.
So are you, Tony. God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Levin.